Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Heresy Hammer. It is a really exciting show because there are four of us. It's very rare other times where kind of four out of the five of us will unite. But as
People don't
it's
know that there's five. I think this is
no,
the thing that will blow people's minds. Is that not only four of us managed to make it, but there are actually five of us.
there's five indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll do introductions in a bit, but what we want to say is that it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be alive, and it's an exciting time to be into the Horus Heresy because today
Truly
we are
is.
going to talk all about the previews that were showed on Friday. Now, we made the conscious choice to wait a couple of days just to see what came out. So if you were we were inundated with messages actually about when are you guys going to do a show? You're going to do a show immediately. We kind of set Kerry to work on collecting and harvesting and cogitating all the data over the course of
All
the
the
past
data.
48 hours. Because what we wanted to do was basically give you the most detailed kind of overview of the preview and things that you may have missed in the excitement of seeing all those new models. So we're going to try and give you the most comprehensive view possible about everything that is upcoming. And as I say, Kerry's like Kelbor Hal himself has been cogitating over all the information and the data. However, we do need to do some introductions because there are some people on here that you've probably not met before. So Kerry is above me. You know, Kerry is our producer. He produces our show. He kind of like he is the Kelber Hal, and we are all his tech thralls. And he organises us, and he also produces all the show notes and all the presentations that you see. We've obviously got John just below me, who you guys
Hello.
will know if you've watched Heresy Hammer before. But John is a co-host along with myself and Lee. And furthest down below me is Aaron. So Aaron, this is I think the first time, isn't it, that you've done
Yeah.
a show for us? But we've been obviously working together for a fair few months now. So Aaron does our website. So if you're an event organizer, you are sending your Google form straight to Aaron, and he is putting it all on the website. He's been kind of uploading blogs for us as well. He's been working alongside Kerry, getting that sorted. And he is our technical whiz and doing all those things. I had a meeting with him only this month about t-shirt selling on the website,
Yes.
so you can look forward to that. So and Aaron is a keen kind of Horus Heresy enthusiast. First time I met Aaron was actually at an
It was,
event
yeah.
in High Wycombe, and he has an awesome Sons of Horus army. If you want to know more about Aaron's Sons of Horus army, you can go check out our very first blog post that he wrote, kind of explaining his army, and it's a luscious army. Like, it's beautifully crafted, absolutely amazing. He has spent time on that one. None of this like just battle damage, no edge highlights nonsense. It's edge highlights galore. It's absolutely beautifully crafted. So welcome, Aaron.
Thank
So
you.
I guess let's start with Aaron actually, and just get a kind of a general sense. Were you watching the preview on Friday? Were you kind of an eager beaver, and did you watch it all the
Oh,
way through?
100%. Yeah. With the guys in Wickham, I was screenshotting everything and posting it in the
Like the
entire
rest of us,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I was literally, and it was really good. I mean, obviously, I've been playing Warhammer since, sort of Black Reach came out, and
Mm.
Heresy is, really been a really big thing for me the last couple of years
Yeah.
since 2.0. And I was just like on the edge of
Yeah.
my seat the whole way through, really excited for this. And
Yeah. So
I was
had you played much first edition, or had you got into Horus Heresy
none.
into 2.0?
It's all from 2.0, all
Okay.
from when as soon as Mark 6 was announced,
Yeah.
I jumped on it hard because I'm a big Mark 6 fan.
Head
Always
first, eyes closed, fully in.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Okay.
went massively in on it, and you
Okay.
can probably
Yeah.
see that is all heresy pretty much over there. So
For 3 years, that's quite a collection for,
yeah, it's
for
not
3 years.
bad.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Okay, John, I know you were there because we were texting backwards and forwards
Yeah.
over it. Did you watch the whole thing? Did you watch it all the way
Well,
through?
I have watched the whole thing all the way through. I struggled at the time because to let you behind the scenes and as to let you understand why I look like shit right now, as Kerry put it. Have got a 5-week-old baby in the house who decided
Yes.
that to ruin certain very well laid plans on Friday evening by just shouting at me for fucking hours. So I kind of had to, and I'll be honest with you, every time I looked towards my phone, it was something. There was just something
Right.
happening.
It was
something
exploding,
happening.
wasn't it?
It
Yeah.
was crazy. It was it was absolutely wild. I
Yeah.
think it was brilliant. I also want to say as well that there are some not to give any spoilers, but you're going to see some stuff in this show today that I don't think anyone else has picked up on yet. I think Kerry has done an exceptional job of training his Auspex to find information that
Yeah.
doesn't freely exist out there. So
So much so that actually we had all read the PowerPoint notes and the notes of the show earlier
missed
today,
parts
and then
of it.
Kerry just went through it with us again. We were like, "Holy shit, we've missed like 7 things that we hadn't realised were on there." So that is how such a good job that Kerry's done. Kerry, I know you were definitely watching it because our phones were popping off, weren't they? So what did you think of the preview? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was great. It just kept coming, one thing after another, after another, after another. And, I've got have a laptop open to watch it, and my phone there. The Heresy Hammer WhatsApp group, just everyone live blogging it as we go and going, shit, what is this? This is amazing.
Yeah, because we had initially flirted with the idea of kind of maybe doing a live stream on it, but then it became quite clear if you've got a 1 hour show, and actually what they're saying is lots of things are quite integral. If you're not listening to the show, it's actually quite difficult to keep track of absolutely everything. So I think we are all glad that we enjoyed it, watched it, and were present for it. And what we're going to do, we're going to go through now kind of like the key bits of information. We'll look at the model previews first of all. We'll talk about the animation just to begin with, and then we're going to go to the rules because there's a lot to unpick, even in the small snippets that they created. So without further ado, let's go over to the animation. So first off, what we haven't spoken about actually, and what I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, is actually the historical timeline of the game of the Horus Heresy right at the start, and featuring Jonathan Keeble, which was absolutely amazing. And
so good.
It was. Yeah, it was amazing. So if you have not listened to the audiobooks, Jonathan Keeble really kind of like from the midpoint, from Betrayer onwards, really took on the main mantle of reading the audiobooks, and he's an amazing voice actor, and really is for me the voice of the Horus Heresy. But they did this absolutely amazing kind of like timeline of the history of the Horus Heresy. They went back all the way to I want to say Adeptus Titanicus, but Kerry, that's not. No,
it was right? Not Slaves to Darkness. The other one of the really early books where it was just mentioned a tiny little paragraph as a throwaway. I remember the first Heresy Weekender they did up in Nottingham. Alan Merritt stood up and did a talk about the history of the heresy and talked about how it grown from this little snippet and then Titanicus and we're making two of the same thing. We need an excuse. Let's use this. And just how heresy have evolved. It was really
it was awesome. And I felt at the time watching it, it was really, I thought it was quite respectful to everybody who'd been involved in that process. And I thought it was quite respectful just for the fan base to, that there is a history with, like with 40k and Age of Sigmar, and there's a history to the Horus Heresy, even though it's still seen as, I guess, sometimes the junior game. And it was just really nice to have that kind of like laid out, and to know that history of the Horus Heresy has been so long in the making, and leading us up to now.
Worked out. It's the 20th anniversary of Horus Rising next year, I think.
Correct. Yeah. Isn't it correct? I remember the day that I found that book literally the moment I found that book in Huntingdon Library. It's absolutely crazy. John, what was your thoughts on that initial scene that Jonathan Keeble did? What did you get a sense of?
I will be perfectly honest with you. I thought that this drop site preview was going to be a hastily cobbled together kind of like damage limitation based on all of the leaks and stuff that we'd seen in the last kind of 10 days, and the fact that we've seen Malkador, this is what Malkador looks like. I think that in itself is just is just enormous. We know what Janisha Kroll looks like, we know what Valdor looks like, they've got models, but we've seen Malkador. I think that's pretty incredible. I think getting Keebs in was an absolute masterstroke.
Absolutely.
I think truthfully, from start to finish, I think the whole thing is a slam dunk.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll talk more about our feelings about it in a second, because I think, as you can tell, I think most of the Heresy community, and definitely ourselves, were absolutely buzzing for it. But okay, well, let's talk about the animation, because straight after the Jonathan Keeble timeline, we were hit with this absolutely awesome animation. Now, this was, I thought, classy. This was like a classy professional. It looked like a scene from like a video game or something like that. The production values, I don't know much, Aaron, about production values and CGI in games and things like that, but it felt to me like it was a pretty high standard. And we got to see Terra, and that is not something that we really often get to see in kinds of animations, just the sheer scale of the Imperial Palace. And it's mammoth, isn't it? I mean, we get to see Valdor, in the Imperial Palace, Janisha Kroll and Malcador strutting around talking about the events of the Horus Heresy and the Great Betrayal. Aaron, what was your thoughts when you saw this animation?
I loved it. I mean, even down to the minute details, like the hand signals with the assisted silence, is something they did in a couple of the other animations as well.
Yeah,
and I think just the quality of it was fantastic. I mean, obviously the 2.0 animation was brilliant, and I was quite blown away by this. But it's just every little detail just seems to have been stepped up. I think the audio was stepped up as well. The sound design was a lot better. The narration obviously was better, but also the VA. I mean, when Malcador came out, I was blown away.
Total fangirl moment. Right?
Oh, 100%. Even I'm not. Valdor was brilliant as well. All of it was fantastic, and I just think that they've really stepped it up this time on the trailer. And I think they whereas the first one obviously was kind of this big like Horus event. This one was more like, look. Yeah, we're diving a little bit deeper this time, and I think
didn't it feel like that? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, sure, we've experienced the novels and we've kind of seen this side, but definitely with the game, like depth, I felt that was really added to this. And then after we saw the animation, we then quickly it was model of. Oh, sorry, we'll do a bit more about the animation because there's lots of things to say on this one. Because I got so overwhelmed by just seeing constant Valdor. I could have just seen that and that would have been fine. We then had scenes of the Isstvan 5 massacre and the Salamanders fighting the Iron Warriors. Now, those, of course, are the two big chapters, legions within the new box set. And, of course, they were going to be a focus in the way that the Sons of Horus and Imperial Fist were the focus for the Age of Darkness box set. And I think, so the first thing that struck me was we got to see... the characters, these kind of leaked characters and models that we had seen in a grainy pixelated image, we actually got to see them in action. That was my first kind of thing. So the Herald or the console that we had seen the Iron Warriors one, we got to see like the actual kind of like dude actually doing stuff and beating people to death with his mace. And then very quickly you started to see flashes of this blue light, and then Saturnine Terminators were coming down. And I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I thought was, I think those guys might be deep striking in. They've not appeared out of a Spartan or a tank or anything like that. So maybe just a little bit of and
then the Dread did it as well.
And then the Dread did it as well. So maybe something to a herald to come. John, what was your thoughts on the kind of Isstvan 5 kind of like scene?
Well, I mean, I will never get enough of my beloved Iron
Just turn it
Warriors.
into a feature film.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, just keep it going, guys. Yeah. Just keep it going. I will never get enough of Iron Warriors getting some love, as you know, and I think that. It's all just good, isn't it? It's all just good.
It was
like
great.
What more can we say? It's who'd have thought I could fall head over heels with something I was already head over heels in love.
And then so we saw all the models that we were expecting to see. So we obviously saw Mark II, we saw Saturnine, we saw the console, we saw the Praetor, and we saw the Saturnine Terminator. And then hoving into view, Aaron had already kind of like been a herald of this. It was crazy how he knows things. This guy knows things, right? We then saw the Fellblade and then the glaive within the animation. So you started to get a sense of, is this a thing that's going to be coming? But more on that a little bit later.
Yeah, it kind of did remark of me. I felt like I was the DiCaprio meme where he's got a glass in his hand, he's just pointing at the screen.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's just have a look at our next slide as well. So once the animation had done, and I think people that at this point, my phone was going wild.
I think the Heresy Hammer WhatsApp community had something like 1,600 messages at this point.
It was pretty crazy. And then the team at Warhammer Community then swiftly went on to the models. Now, it was an absolute avalanche. Like, there was way more.
Oh, yeah.
I think well, I mean, we'll talk about the event at the end and our kind of just our general feelings about the preview at the end. But I think it's easy to say that we were shown way more than we were expecting to see. And I from my perspective, I think I really appreciated that. Sure, if you say to me, look, it's going to come in 6 months' time, but here's a little snippet, I'm fine with that. I know what's coming. Weapons, my weapons grade autism. That one, I just want to know what is coming. But we got a glimpse of the Mark II. Now, of course, we knew that they were coming, but we got some absolutely amazing pictures. Now, the first thing I kind of like picked up on was that the poses are pretty much the same.
Yeah, they are the same.
Yeah, so
they're reskins of the Mark 6 and the Mark
exactly
3, which is no more than I think anybody expected.
No, I suspect that's all partly because of the arms and the way that the arms are positioned. It needs to fit in with the legs and things like that. However, it's a slight rework of, a significant rework from the old Forge World design. It obviously looks, rather than kind of like overlapping panels that we kind of had in the Mark II Crusade armor, we've got something that probably looks a little bit sleeker, but something that probably everybody was expecting, because we had seen this kind of style of Mark armor on Hibu Khan, and we had seen the top half of this when we looked at when you look at the weapon sprue. So we already the weapon sprue, the vehicle sprue, like we already knew what it was going to kind of look like. But yeah, and I think they did an amazing job with the paint jobs, and then we got this new weapon, this disintegrator weapon. Now, again, we knew that was coming from the leaked images, but there are various types of disintegrator weapons, like a heavy one, a double-barreled one, and then this kind of more, what I describe as kind of like a melter gun or a plasma gun kind of style. But Kerry, what was your thoughts on the Mark II?
I'm a big fan. I am. I've been waiting for this for a while. I've been planning on getting command squads for both my legions in Mark II, because I think it'll suit them really well. So. Yeah, I've been waiting for this for a while. You said disintegrator weapons, they featured quite heavily in the animated trailer. Lots of Iron Warriors turning into clouds of dust.
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm worried about what we're going to do, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
The alternate schemes they pulled up, obviously the Iron Warriors got lots of praise when it came up.
Yeah.
When they started showing off, particularly the white scar that's in the bottom left there, when that got shown off, the chat just went wild, because that's amazing.
It is, absolutely, Aaron, what was your thoughts on the Mark II when we see it? And I know you're a man who likes the sleek design of the Mark VI, but are you keen to get your hands on some Mark II? And are you thinking about starting a new army with it, or just adding to the Sons of Horus?
I'm going to be making a Death Guard disintegrator army now.
Oh, okay. I love that.
My first model was the Imperial Marine for Sons of Horus, was with the combi disintegrator.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And I've always wanted more. And this is, there's going to be some vaporizing Death Guard on the horizon, without a doubt. And I'm a big veteran fan. And they previewed, obviously, on the box, it was a veteran with the disintegrators. And I'm going to be making 100% disintegrators all day. I don't care how many of my own guys I blow up doing it. We are having them.
It's a price to pay. Yeah, absolutely. John, are you going to be adding these to your Death Guard or your Iron Warriors, do you think?
Yeah, probably. But
do you get turned on by Mark II, or are you more of a...
do you want to know something? I was like, Mark II, and then the more it's kind of settled with me, I'm a bit like, okay, cool. Like, I'm actually, if I'm being truthful, I think I prefer the Mark III. I will have some Mark II in my Iron Warrior, certainly. But they'll obviously be Havocs with autocannons. But yeah, I'm kind of like, I like them. They're good. They're really good. Right. They'll suit different legions, different, better, blah, 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 blah. I'm not mega pumped by them, if I'm being honest with you. I'd say my enthusiasm for them has cooled, but I'm still very happy that they're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a much welcome addition to the Force. Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to Edge highlighting all of those places.
That's
going to take me 3 years again.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, because I was thinking the other day, I was like, I wonder what like World Eaters' heads would look like on this, because it's interesting that they create those, specifically the Mark VI helmets for the Mark VI pattern and plastic armor, but then nothing materialized for like Mark III specific heads. Now, I'm not saying that you can't mix and match them. You can put the Mark VI heads on top of the Mark III like bodies, but that's quite an unusual choice for, say, like the Raven Guard, because they are beaky style helmets. So it'll be interesting to see whether they do like Mark II heads for these. Just noticeable by their absence, but I'm sure there'll be a welcome addition.
As long as it's not done by 18 weeks.
I was literally about to say
Thursday.
Get ready for 18 weeks of pads and heads.
Yeah, good point. Okay, well, let's have a look what came up next on the preview. So we had the kind of this autocannon that we found out could deep strike. I think that's right. Was it in the preview? Was it able to deep strike or land or something like that? Was it?
It certainly mentioned the shield generator.
Okay, all right. So in my head, I've got something that it's about it's able to deep strike, but perhaps it's.
I'm sure the comment section will correct.
Yes, correct me if I'm wrong about that one. And it basically, I mean, the first thing I noticed was that it looks like the ball turret from the Fire Raptor kit. So a combination of the ball turret combined with 4 Sakarin cannons. So I think it's likely that whatever the Sakarin is, this is going to be a twin-linked version, if twin-linked even exists, rerolls even exist in the next edition. I guess we'll see. But it was pretty, when they did the display, the comparison, I was overwhelmed by the size of it. It's absolutely ginormous, this, isn't it? It's huge.
Yeah, it's mega. It's huge boy. Big old boy.
Any of you guys? I mean, we're all obviously going to pick up the box, but any of you guys go? This makes me absolutely rock solid. Like anybody's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to be adding this to 100% to my force.
I've always loved using fortifications. It's a shame they've been so terrible in second edition. So it's be interesting to see how this plays into it. Whether it's a fortification slot, if there is a force org slot, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting to see how actually they get used.
Yeah,
it's got a window at the top, so it feels like it might be manned as
that's a good point.
As opposed to like autonomous. So
that's I hadn't even clocked that. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. So hopefully it'll be BS4, something like that. That'll be useful rather than a BS2 style tarantula kind of thing going on. It's got quite a. The other thing I would say about it though is that I wonder whether people will put it on bases or make some kind of like scenic terrain for it to sit on, because the way that they showed it to us, it's just kind of it sits on the feet, doesn't it? So
it's going to be 100 mil base at least.
The footprint is enormous.
But I have no doubt in Golden Demon this year or next year, this will be like in some kind of Horus Heresy diorama where there'll be Iron Warriors kind of like pointing and things like that, and they're shooting things out of the sky, which I think would be pretty cool. But yeah, a welcome addition, and it was really good to see the size of this because I hadn't really got the sense of scale from it, but it is an absolute whopper.
It's also nice to see something new. Like we talked about
God, John,
last edition we had one new unit, like proper new unit, and that was the Kratos. And it's nice to see something new.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, agreed with that. 100%. Right, let's see what's up next.
Speaking of things that are new.
Oh boy, right. So I think the Praetor, the pixelated pictures of the Praetor, let's just talk about the central one first of all. I think number one, it looked absolutely huge on the box, and it is absolutely huge when we kind of like saw it in real life. It's like, it must be close to, if not the size of a Contemptor Dreadnought, right? Like in terms of its actual just height with its iron halo on. And then I think some people were I think it caused a little bit of Marmite, or it was Marmite in the sense that lots of people liked it, lots of people didn't. And then for me, what changed a lot of people's opinion was seeing the loads of alternative builds that you could do just with this one Praetor. It came on like a bajillion sprues. And as a result of that, it gave you loads of options. And it was interesting to see the people that hadn't liked it initially, when they saw the Imperial Fist version.
Oh my God.
Which is like, but people were like, "Oh no, I've been turned. This is the one."
100%. This yellow boy, he did it for me. And do you know what it is? I think it's not only one of two things. It's the pose. He's not like foot up on a rock, but those alternative helmets. They're like the Dark Angel, like Mark III helmets.
Yes.
Oh, mama. That is, and just getting rid of some of like the intricacies, like stripping him back a little bit. He just looks brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's great to see a single kit have so many options, but not just options in terms of like weapons. You know, it's not his hammer doesn't turn into a sword that he's holding in the same pose. Like it looks like there are 3 or 4 different alternative poses along with the different weapon options as well, which I think
you would have expected really cool. Him to have been mono pose, right? You just would.
Yeah, absolutely. But like really thoughtful. Really
Yellow boy looks.
Given his size, I assume his knees and his hips are separate pieces, so you can pose him like a dreadnought.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't clocked that. Yeah, that's interesting. Aaron, what was your thoughts on this bad boy?
I wasn't that fussed about it on the leak photos, but actually seeing the HD photos, it's completely changed my mind. And actually, there was a preview on the stream in Iron Warriors colors.
Yes,
And
and he had a slightly different pose. He was like holding his claw like this, wasn't he? Yeah.
He had also the leather strips that the Cataphractii have on the, and I love those. I mean, that kind of gave him almost a Cataphractii-esque look.
Yeah.
And that again, I thought, oh, okay, actually, I really quite like this now. And the giant axe sells it as well.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. And I have no doubt this is going to be like, because exactly as you say, Kerry, if those thighs and leg pieces are separate pieces, it does mean that the scope for further conversion work beyond what Games Workshop has shown us is actually quite exciting. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what the kit looks like. But yeah, this was a real win for me, and I thought the paint jobs were lovely, and the Imperial Fist one was just like out of this world. It was brilliant. And then we got to see generic Centurion. Now, I thought it was interesting that this didn't have a name. It wasn't like Chaplain. It wasn't a champion. It was just generic console, generic Centurion. What did they use the word console or Centurion? What did they use? Can you remember?
I think both.
Okay, interesting.
He was referred to as a Centurion, but I believe that the word console came up
as well. Interesting. But this one I didn't see this one being able to be reposed, but there was obviously, of course, an alternative kind of like helmet for it.
Yeah.
And then the servo skull didn't last long. It kind of like got blown up straight away in the animation. But it does come with a servo skull, so whether that's going to be like a +1 to in-bun or whatever, it's pretty cool. But I think the other thing I would say about this, and along with the Saturn Terminator as well, the Praetor here, is that they've gone for the same kind of embellishment with those round circular kind of like armor panels. I mean, that's what we saw on the first round of like new plastic Praetors, and then this is something that has clearly they've gone for again. But it's interesting that on the plainer Imperial Fist one, you don't have to have those, so those are optional. Like you can choose whether you want them or not.
So many like free spaces as well.
Yeah,
I just he's so good. And I was in the as we talked about on the previous episode, I was very much in the I don't really care for these camp, and now I'm in the I absolutely must have that man in my life.
It's
awesome to hold.
Yeah, like it's awesome. I think that Vexilla backpack is going to be quite valuable as well. If you want to spruce up maybe like a veteran squad to have a Vexilla, like that one's going to be like, okay, I'm going to go for this one because it looks awesome. These were a real, as you say, John, a slam dunk for me. And then the other thing to say is that the embellishment around the Salamander's Terminator, it looks like you can have it with less embellishment.
Yes. Thank Christ.
Good.
He looks too busy for me, to be honest with you.
Looking at the sprues, they showed the sprue in the video. I haven't put any pictures in here, but it looks like there's at least 4 different pieces for the shoulder panels.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So there's plenty of options.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really, really cool. Because I often think like these would look good in Dark Angels colours. It would be good to have like a check transferred shoulder.
They showed some
pads.
Dark Angels.
They showed Dark Angels one.
Yeah, and that's where I was kind of like those heads.
Yeah, they're properly awesome, right? Cool. So that was again absolutely awesome. We obviously saw those in the animation, so that was brilliant. And then we got to the Saturn. Now, this, I think, Praetor aside, these really did divide the community. I think some people though were just kind of like waiting to see them in the HD versions, and then we got to see them in different colors as well. I think what was also a bit of a surprise was not only did we get to see in different colors, there were different options. So we got this absolutely brutal looking new helmet or helmet for it, like that kind of reminds me of like Mark V with the kind of like studs on it, which will just be great for kind of any traitors, but I think would look good for Space Wolves as well or whatever. Any standout for you guys? Any kind of like color schemes? Because you saw most of the legions, like there was an Iron Hands one as well. But Aaron, let's go with you first. So what did you think when you saw the HD one? Do you think they're absolute comedy, or do you like the look of them?
So much better now that we're in HD. I think again, fuzzy, you just can't make out the details, but these are a lot better. And weirdly enough, the Ultramarine one is the one that sold me. I was like,
interesting.
I really like, and my first thing that I thought of, if somebody could do some marbling effects,
on
those shoulder pads, that would look stand out. And the White Scars one as well looks absolutely impeccable.
Yeah,
I think, and as sort of John said on the previous bit, the space for detail and things like, the white scars, iconography, and sort of battle patterns, you can go crazy with it. And in my mind, it looks like a really good modeling and painting opportunity
because
over everything else.
They are absolutely huge, right? I mean, that's the other thing as well. These things aren't diddly little models. These are absolute whoppers. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that the Aquila on the front plate seems to be standardized, as in like it's on the. It's
I'm
not
very
like on the,
surprised by that.
Yeah, so I assume lots of traitor players, I mean even some loyalist players, are probably going to start scraping that thing off as soon as they
They did make the point that it's technically not the Imperial Aquila, it is the Jovian Aquila. So it's where they were made by the Jupiter.
Right. That's how they've got around it, is it? Okay. I have no doubt though people will start scraping that thing off to put word bearers iconography and stuff like that.
Chthonian markings, all
exactly that. Yeah. And then the weapons. So we've obviously got this disintegrator. They talked about power fists as well, and it was I want to say a plasma bombard of some kind.
Yeah, so you got. It's good they said you get 3 models. But you get 6 fists, 6 plasma, 6 disintegrators, so you can build and customize whatever way you want.
Yeah.
Where is the combi bolter with the 4 magazines, top, bottom, left, and right fed combi bolter? Because I genuinely, I was waiting to see it, and it's not there. It's not there.
I reckon though it will be in some kind of upgrade kit that we get later down the
It may be in a separate kit when it comes out by itself, because that's usually what happens. You'll get more options in its own box.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether you can magnetize these with like 2 or 3 mil magnets, the weapons on these. I think that will be, just because of their size, it probably will be relatively straightforward.
Yeah, someone will be able to do it, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And then just to clarify, just one thing before we move on, I saw no bear heads in Saturnine armor. Did you guys see any bear heads at all?
No.
No, interesting. I wonder how easy it will be to put a bear head in there, and whether you even can, which is because that suggests to me that there's no sergeant within the squad if there's no bear head. Which is interesting, because we'll talk about it when we get to the rules, but there wasn't a sergeant profile within the Saturnine Terminator profiles. It was literally so that's an interesting one. Cool. Okay, let's have a look at what is next then. So here we had this absolute massive Saturnine Dreadnought. So John, we saw them in different colors. We saw them with different kinds of armor plates. We've obviously got this kind of like lightning Unity Great Crusade kind of like vibe going on the Blood Angels one and the Space Wars one, and then something a little bit plainer. But I suppose these 3 that Kerry's kind of got together kind of shows us the different kinds of options, the studded kind of like breastplate and things like that. What was your gut when you saw this in different schemes and saw the HD pictures?
Still really on the fence.
Right.
Every so often I'll see this geezer from an angle or a bit, and I think, oh yeah, okay, I can see what's going on here. And then I see like the Blood Angels one. The difficulty is that they're all the same, like generic, and I understand why GW do it, because from a posing perspective, they don't want to go super dynamic. And then when you get out of the box, it's like, actually, this is quite difficult to do from a modeling perspective. But I just kind of like, you just see this guy and it's just
it's not the sexiest, most dynamic pose, is it? No.
Like the Imperial Fist Saturnine Praetor properly like won me round. And then by the time I got to the Dreadnought, I was beginning to think, I don't know. It's not tickling my pickle in the way that it has for other people.
I reckon when these get in the hand, and then this is like on a big rock, standing on a rock, pointing, firing its gun in one direction, I reckon you'll change your mind. I reckon it'll be like, okay, a bit of dynamism in the pose. I think we'll be
fair.
there.
I mean, I've got a spare Sigismund's base kicking around, so
perfect opportunity to pose this. And then we not only did we see the kind of like this massive bombard, along with this massive disintegrator kind of like gun. Also, you can see on the 2 options, you can see the 2 like nipple guns. Now they had very long names and very long titles for those weapons, but I guess we can see those 2 there. So one looks like a noise marine weapon. It's not quite a Volkite and not quite a like cacophony cannon there. And then we got something that looks like a disintegrator gun, but isn't a disintegrator, I think, on the Salamanders Dread. But yeah, this looks like a really awesome kit. it. And I suspect, as Aaron said, well, I hope we get to have a close combat sprue in the future at some point.
I hope so, otherwise I'm not having it. If I can't take two melee weapons with it, I don't care.
yeah, mate. Like, I have to agree with that. Actually, I think this would be.
We need some sort of solid slug weapon as well. Some sort of mega storm cannon.
Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome.
Look at that bottom picture. He can't have a melee weapon because he can't reach a bloody marine at his feet.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I mean, knights can. So if knights can, these guys can. I look forward to seeing the kind of like the rules on this one. I don't think we've got much information rules wise from the previews that they showed us, but Kerry has dug out lots of other information that we'll get to see in a bit. I absolutely love this. Thought it was awesome, and I have no doubt, like the Leviathan, though, everybody will be going for like a double bombard or a double disintegrator weapon. I think that tends to be the kind of the best way to run these things, unless there are changes that we don't know about. Cool. Right, let's have a look at what is next and what we've got to see. So the scale of these, so the scale was really interesting, and actually I do want to discuss something with you guys in a bit about this. So it was absolutely brilliant to see the scale and a comparison, because it just kind of gave us some forewarning about the size of these things. The most hilarious moment for me was seeing against a Tartarus Terminator. Man, they haven't aged massively well, I would say, the Tartarus Terminator.
So sad by that.
Yeah, because it's such a nice kit. But what's your guys' thoughts on that? Like the Tartarus, just man alive.
I'm so sad. I love Tartarus, and I painted 10 Tartarus for last year in the summer, and it just makes me so sad seeing how titchy they are.
Yeah.
Some people picked up in the chat, and I thought it was a very good catch. The wording they used was the current Tartarus and Cataphracti kits.
Oh, that's good. Oh, yes. That's good. Okay. Because here, they're basically the same size as the Mark II, aren't they? Like, it's crazy, just the height of them. And then they're absolutely dwarf. So I think it's reasonable to say that in the next 3 years, we're going to have Tartarus and Cataphracti kit, I think.
Well, spoilers.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say as well, it's nice to see that the studio paint team finally embraced black base rims for Heresy. So
that's a good point.
Superiority.
That's a good shout. And then we got to see the Saturn Praetor against, or just to go back one, Saturn Praetor against Vulcan, and it turns out Saturn Praetors are actually in fact bigger than Vulcan, which is quite incredible. So these are huge, aren't they?
Vulcan's an early boy, though, to be fair, so we can give Vulcan a pass for being small.
Yeah.
You put these guys next to Angron, Lorgar.
Yeah. Oh my god, they're going
to tower him.
Stand on them, love the new scale, but I think we can expect a scale increase on Terminators.
Oh, do you think, given that the armorers are the poster boys for the new edition, do you think we're going to see a new Perturabo, please?
It wouldn't surprise me, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Do you think he'll be good?
That's
as long as he's worse than Horus.
That's a more difficult question. That one,
Do you think that we will see finally the best man in all of the Heresy, Forex?
That I definitely hope. Like for the sake of Iron Warriors players, and
he is my guy.
I can't remember. Is Forex in position by the drop site, or is he coming later?
No, he is in position.
He is a Triarch, a Triarch at that point. Yes.
Yeah.
He is a member of the Trident, one of the three, the only fucking competent person in the entire fucking
literally literally. Cool. Okay, well, let's Kerry just gave us a little sneak peek. So the I want to say Arachnus gun, but I don't think it's called that. The Arachni gun.
Arachne spidery
accelerator turret, or whatever it's called.
It is an absolute whopper. So I really hope, I'm really looking forward to seeing what these like are on the tabletop, and looking forward to painting some, because absolutely love them. But that's because I just have a massive hard on for Sakarins. But the size is just brilliant. I absolutely love it. And then we got to see finally an actual comparison. So we had seen floating around on the World Wide Web this comparison between a Redemptor, the Saturnine, and the Leviathan. Now, I think the scaling on that was probably slightly wrong. I think people assumed it was on a 120mm base, and had scaled it much bigger than the Redemptor, but it's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Kerry, it's on 100mm base, right?
I'd guess, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not quite as big as I think we thought, but it's still an absolute whopper, and it's definitely hitting the steroids and hitting the gym. It's like girth is quite impressive, and its height is
There's
quite
just
impressive as
something
well.
about it that just looks a bit derpy, and I do think that it's the legs and how wide the hips are. I
Interesting.
think
Okay.
he has got very wide childbearing hips, and
Yeah.
I do think it somewhat accentuates the derpiness a little bit.
It's
Interesting.
probably because it's very wide at the top,
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
wide at the hips, and it pinches to that really
it's a
hourglass
tiny little
waist.
A
waist.
svelte,
Yeah,
a very svelte waist. You know what? For me, if I'm going to pick holes in holders in this, and just bear in mind, I would give this preview a 10 out of 10. The Saturnine Dread for me, it's the helmet that I don't like, and it's the same way that when people put Mark III helmets inside a Contemptor chassis, and I'm like, I hate that. Like the Contemptor head looks just awesome. So I think I said this before on the last show. I will just replace the Contemptor. I will put a Contemptor head in this Dreadnought, and then I think for me that will be like where it's at. I think, but yeah, I can see what you mean about the waist though. It's got a very svelte waist.
Seeing
Cool.
the Saturnine
Oh, sorry.
taller than the Leviathan just makes me want to make a diorama of Sons of Horus Leviathan just coring one open.
Mate,
Because he used to be the
yeah.
biggest, and now he's not.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
yeah,
great, thanks.
that's really cool. Yeah, absolutely love that. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Next up, we had our tarantula. So we got to see. Now we knew this was coming. We know there are rules obviously coming because we've got a new rulebook coming. But we got to see all the upgrade kits for this one. So heavy bolter, melter, Volkai, Laz. Did you guys have a preference? Like Kerry, did you want to have one that you thought that looked the best? The Warhammer team were like, oh, the Volkai looks the best, but
Volkite's always held a special place in how they look.
yeah.
Sure.
John, how about you? Anyone that you like the look of?
they're all shit. Um,
At
I
the
mean, I
moment, they might not be.
don't like the heavy bolters.
Yeah, I would go for the heavy bolt as well. I quite like it. Yeah, and it was like a little mini version of the Arachne, isn't it? I think yeah,
Hmm.
that design. How about you, Aaron? Any preference?
You
Any you
can't
like
you
the
can't put a turret on the tip of a spear, so yeah.
Not interested.
No,
Yeah.
but
I
I
would.
do. I love a heavy bolter.
Yeah.
I really hope heavy bolters get improved in this edition, and I
Yes.
really want to see heavy bolters. I love them. They're my favorite weapon in all of 40k.
I
So
want to
yeah,
see. I want to see this little turret in the back of a rhino, like a
yeah,
razorback. That's all I
Oh,
want.
mate, that would
yeah.
be awesome. That would
That's
rock
all I
my
need out of
world.
life.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely brilliant. I'd love
I
that.
mean, conspiracy theory. We'll
Yeah,
picture the show
yeah. We'll
later
get
on.
to that in a bit, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's continue with the Odyssey because it was
These are good.
preview
These are
after
slam
preview.
slam dunk, mate. These are an
Yes.
alley oop
So
slammy D, mate. Yeah.
this, you know what the weakest thing on the preview for me was? These Marines' knees. The knees of these
Yeah.
Marines, I thought were the weakest out of everything that we saw.
Are they Mark IV?
I'm
Pseudo
unclear
for.
even what they are. Like
They look
what?
very similar to the Imperial Marine. Actually, they're
Yeah, yeah,
very similar to the Imperial Marine. These.
yeah. Yeah, they do look like exactly that, don't they? Actually, the knee pads are exactly like that. They're this kind of like Mark Six, Mark Four kind of like hybrid. I thought the poses were quite cool, and all that stuff is going to be massively useful. Holding auspexes and Master of Signal style kind of like DJ boards or whatever. I think are pretty cool. And then we got what we knew was coming in terms of the kits, which are basically near identical to what Diverging Realm has already created. So, a bit of a shocker that everybody has these already.
They're the big.
But
They're the full fat versions of the Legions Imperialis one,
yeah,
basically.
that's exactly it, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
just larger versions. And then these come as two kits, don't they? So you can, is it the Grav and the Laser Rapier that comes as one, and then the Heavy Bolter and the
I
like the
said,
quad gun.
based on the color, I'd say it's
Oh, the
Bolter,
other way around, is
Grav,
it? Sorry.
and
Okay. Yeah.
Rapier and Flood.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Not clear as of yet whether we can magnetize this, but the front piece looks the same on every single one, which is slightly
Yeah.
different to the original resin ones, right? Because
Yep.
some of the plates were like slightly like wider apart to be able to fit it. So it'll be cool to see whether we can magnetize this to make use of both weapons. But yeah, this was great one. Just for me, the knees were a little bit weak. Let's have a look what was next. So Aaron, you
Big
called this.
boy.
It was like
I did,
like you knew it was coming. But our kind of our next Lord of War for the Horus Heresy in plastic. So we obviously had the Knights, we had the Typhon, we had the Cerberus, and now we've got the Fellblade. These are going to sell like hotcakes. This is this is the only one that they previewed.
Correct.
Although in the animation we saw the glaive, and then
Well, no, we saw a glaive.
we saw a glaive, and then some wild rumors went around that they had shown the Volkite glaive in some of the images, but we kind of dug into this, and actually this is the one painted by Matt Kane in the early days of Forge World. This is not the same front piece on this Fellblade. John, this has changed slightly, hasn't it? This Fellblade. What's your thoughts on the changes that they've made?
So I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like it as much as
okay.
the resin one. I think the outgoing Forge World one is better, and I will tell you for why. For starters, it's it's loads of angles, and then you've got the round doors don't really work. I don't think, for me.
Interesting. I hadn't really. Yeah, I can think that's the round doors. Yeah,
a bit derpy.
Yeah. Okay.
And also the protruding demolisher cannon.
Yes.
And it's like on its breech, and I prefer the breech kind of being recessed into the hull as it is on the resin one.
On the OG one.
I value that these. I think that the turret and like the main gun is fantastic. I would prefer. I don't like the. I think the round doors on the sides really draw the eye in a kind of an odd way. Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest and say I think the resin one is still the OG one is still it. Like, I've got to be honest with you, this is nitpicking. The fact that we've got a Fellblade in plastic is brilliant, and I have no doubt that as long as Lords of War are vaguely good in the new edition, we are going to see metric fuck tons of these because big tanks are cool, and the Heresy is about big. It should be about big scale. It's all about everything should be big, like big armies fighting on these big worlds over this big galaxy with big guns, and like it should be huge. And the fact that these becoming more accessible is fantastic. I have got sat on my painting desk one of every of the old super heavies.
Oh, have you? Whoa, that's crazy.
And unfortunately, I think the old Fellblade is just better than this one.
It's just that one.
But, there you go.
So, Kerry and Aaron, let's go for a price point from you guys. What do you reckon this is going to come in to buy for somebody in this edition in plastic?
What the Baneblade now?
I was going to say it's got to be a little bit more than the Baneblade, probably.
120.
120.
I would say if you could pick it up from a third party for less than £100, I think you'll be in business.
Cool. So we'll go for 120, and then hopefully less than 100.
Yeah, I wonder if it's sort of one of the not the Armiger Knights, sort of the step above that. If it was sort of that price point.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting. And then we got to see a new sponson, I want to say, for the Fellblade as well, which is this quad heavy bolter sponson, which before it was just like the las cannons. Was that right, or has this always been a thing?
No, las cannons.
This has been a completely new thing. I think just going back to your point, John, about the doors. What I think it's likely people will do is probably fill that circle in and then sand it out and smooth it out, so they can place a transfer there. I think that's the easiest way to sort that, because it was such a nice place for a transfer to sit.
It was. Yep.
And I think that you'll see a lot of people kind of just like fit it in, or people like 3D sculptors will just like do a part where it kind of like sits in, and then you just gap fill it, and then it kind of just sits nice and snugly. But we'll see on that one. But yeah, a welcome addition. I think for me, I mean, I've always been a fan of the Fellblade, but I have no doubt we'll get the glaive, and that for me is the one I'm looking forward to. But yeah, absolutely great to see this. This is really, really exciting. And what else did we get? So it was interesting what they said about this. So they were basically like, we're going to show you more, but essentially it's not coming for a long time. So we'll kind of just to placate you guys, but it's going to be a while away. So we saw the Breacher kit, which is going to be an upgrade kit rather than it's added to an existing kit.
Perfect.
And it looks like it's got new helmets, it's got the Breacher shield, and then a different style of gun that we haven't. Is this the normal gun?
No, drum-fed bolter.
It's drum-fed, right? Okay. I assume drum-fed just means that you can have more in the more. You're not reloading all the time.
It'll have no rules difference.
Yeah.
He's only got one hand. He's carrying a shield around.
Yeah, fair play, fair play. And then we saw Mark II Assault Marines. So a couple of things to pick out here. So this really does go back to the original resin version, where we kind of saw well, I think were kind of like straps on the front of the
Yeah.
torso. They've kind of mimicked that. It's reinforced in a way that we haven't seen on the Mark II yet around the collar, and the jump packs on the Mark II were always big but looked fitting. I felt these were similar to some third-party style jump packs that I've seen in the past, where they're quite big. Anybody want to give us any thoughts on the Assault Marines, the Mark II Assault Marines?
Both, it's a 10. It's 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. You love
10 out
it?
of 10. I think even, to be honest with you, even if you weren't to use the jump packs and just use those like big, like heavily armored gorgets. With,
actually, that's a great idea. Yeah, that's actually a really good shout. Okay,
quick question for you as well. Do you think that this is an upgrade kit? Because I'll tell you for why. This is posed differently to the standardized posing that we see on the Mark III kits. So do we think this is the Mark VI kit?
Well, and so you know how the tactical marines are the tactical marines reskinned. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the assault marine kit reskinned.
Assault marine kit reskinned, which is fine.
You know what else?
Yep.
Yeah. You know what else to talk about? That's a chain axe.
Yes,
not on a world eater.
Yes, not on a world eater. So a couple of things to draw out here, which is that is the chain axe going to be in this kit, or is there a second close combat kit on the way in addition to what we already have? And perhaps the second close combat kit is going to be like Mark II, specific, or like something like that. But it'd be interesting to see, because it would be an odd choice, I think, that the only way to get chain axes is through like a Mark II assault squad. That doesn't, for me, that's kind of like, that really screws over World Eaters players.
The melee weapons kit not have chain axes in it?
No, it doesn't have any chain axe. This is like the first plastic chain axe that we've had in Heresy. It's crazy, right? So what's your guys?
I don't think it's a World Eater Born Berserkers one. So I think it's a new.
Yeah, but what's your gut say? Do you think it will be a brand new close combat weapon kit with other weapons that we've not seen before? Anybody want to?
Depends on the rules. If they suddenly give chain axes to everybody, for a start, my Reavers will be very sad. But it'll be interesting to see if that is going to be like a universal equipment now. You're an Ultramarine, chain axe. You're a Emperor's Children, chain axe. That's what I'm kind of more interested in. If that's going to reflect, obviously we'll talk about the rules later. But if that reflects further on, I love it. I'm so excited to have a million plastic chain axes running around my bits box. So
that's an important one for World Eaters players as well. I mean, we've talked before that actually their only option to do mass chain axes is really 3D.
I can make more if Inductii is still a thing for us as well. I'm going to make so many Sons of Horus Inductii with this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm going to put my money on that this is going to come out in a second close combat sprue, close combat weapon sprue. That's what I'm going to do.
I'll take your money, Rob.
Good. I'll bet you a $5. There you go. Right. What do we have?
Recorded as witness with evidence. They're backing down now.
What else do we have next? So we had little snippets. So we had what looks like some kind of new plastic cataphractii, although I think they mentioned within the stream this is a resin.
It's a plastic. It's a plastic. It distinctly said plastic.
Okay, so it's a plastic character kit, but it is clearly of a cataphractii design.
Yes.
And even if this is a new console character, it seems to me that actually they've already redesigned the new cataphractii, and this is essentially what it's gonna look like, right? In the same way with Fafnir Ran, we got a sense of what Mark III will look like very early on. I think it's fairly inevitable. We got what looks like a new plastic Custodes model, so hopefully a shield captain or something like that. And whether this will be the herald of the next wave of the big releases, so a Talons of the Emperor box later in the year. We'll talk about rules for those a little bit later.
He's cropped out the feminine hands.
Yes, none of that. Thank you very much. It's just a hand. Thank you. But I think so. We had the big releases of Mechanicum and Solar Orcs. In 2.0, will we have a big plastic release of Talons of the Emperor in 3.0? Is this the herald of something to come? I think
it would make sense because a lot of these kits the original Custodes kit is now what 11 years 2014,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
they're a bit dated now, I think.
They are looking a bit, and again, a bit weird in
Yeah.
comparison to the new aesthetic. So
yeah,
they're also having their army book held back,
yeah,
which implies new things, maybe.
Yeah, that is perceptive, Kerry. Very perceptive.
And then we had something for the Mechanicum, which looks like potentially new Skitarii, ranging the wastes of the irradiated wastes of Mars. It looks a little bit big draggled, so whether it's some kind of like scout Skitarii or something like that. We obviously have the Skitarii like Peltas and things already. But yeah, these look pretty cool. It didn't look too out of place from, say, like a Necromunda model, right? Like this feels like something that could be definitely like Necromunda-y.
Or 40k to be fair as well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But it was cool. It's cool to see that everybody, apart from demons, basically got a little snippet of something.
Yeah, demons aren't real players to be fair. So.
And Solar Orcs didn't get too much either. If you're a Solar Orcs player, you kind of missed that.
They've had their fill.
They have indeed. Right, let's have a look at what is next. So just to whiz through these, we've got some more tarantulas, missile tarantulas. However, these are the ones that we saw previewed some time ago. There was a rules page with what looks like a new tank. Now, why is it a new tank? Well, the front piece it looks like a Predator. It looks like the Scorpius kind of style chassis. We did have a great big discussion before we came on air that the hooks or whatever on the front, we've not seen those on a plastic kit in the Horus Heresy before, so whether that's something new. But this looks like it's got like a turret on the back, right? So whether it's a new kit, we're not sure. Whether it's something in the background, we're not sure. But it's not a Rhino because it's not got the same pieces as the Rhino. So whether it's a new like Whirlwind or something like that, it looks pretty cool, whatever it is, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
So yes, let the wild circulations be in. Okay, right. On to, so I think just from my perspective though, the new models, the amount of stuff we saw,
Bananas.
crazy. It was crazy. Yep. It was absolutely brilliant. So on to the rules. Now let's just have a brief discussion about the rules. So the past few months has been speculation from us for a long time that actually a new edition is coming. We had heard lots of things on the grapevine. Lots of people were like ostriches, wanted to bury their head in the sand and didn't believe it was coming. And many people didn't want it to come. Many people were like, hey, I've not got into the Horus Heresy for this, for a 3-year, cycle. I prefer a longer cycle. That's what I'm expecting. But people are basically going to have to buy all the rule books again. Do you think this is just, we need to accept this for Horus Heresy moving forward? Do you think it's just on the 3-year cycle now?
Yeah. I think to be honest with you, yeah. I mean, you're down if you do and you're down if you don't, right? We went 10 years with nothing, and then people bemoaned that, and now we're going, 3 years with constant new releases and reworks, and people are kind of largely moaning about that. I think I can completely understand from both sides of things, but at the same time, like, you can see it from both ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If we don't spend money and buy things, then what is the purpose of a company whose job it is to make money and to produce a game? What's the impetus for them to produce things for us to buy? Like this is late stage capitalism. This is how it works. Unfortunately, like, I do think the people who are I kind of get it, like, spending like 150 £200 on books every cycle is kind of annoying. But I don't know. It's kind of first world problem, to be honest with you.
We just have to accept it, don't we? I think. Yeah. However, they have made a significantly different move to how they introduced 2.0. Yes. So we are going in with 5 army books in total. So 1 for the traitors, 1 for the loyalists, 1 for Solar Auxilia, 1 for Mechanicum. And also, really interesting, 1 for Liber Questoris, which was rolled into the Mechanicum book originally. So I assume on the Liber Questoris, basically, we're going to have Traitor Knights in there, like rules for Traitor Knights and rules for Loyalist Knights. I assume that's what they basically rolled everything together, bumped it up, and then put it all together in a book like that. So that's so will it thin out? I suppose the thing you might say though, is will it thin out the Liber Mechanicum?
No, because that'll have Dark Mechanicum in it now, won't it?
Oh, of course, yeah, that's a really, really good point. Yeah, of course. So we've got these books, and these are going to be on sale with the box, ready to play
Day
on
one.
on day
Let's
one,
crack
which
on.
is really exciting. However, if you are a Talons or a Demons player, well, definitely Talons, you will be getting your Liber book later and further down the road, but you will be able to play with downloadable rules from the get-go, which is fine. But so something is clearly coming. What's your guys thoughts about Talons of the Emperor? Do you expect to see a bumped up range
Yeah.
coming in 3.0?
But there was stuff in the original, like Liber, whatever it was called, Liber Imperium,
Yeah, yeah,
that still didn't get models. There
yeah,
were units that never got, like
yeah. Certainly
the
within
sisters
the
jet bikes
sisters
and
range.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So I think, to be honest with you, it would make an enormous amount of sense for there to be a full range refresh along with a new book.
Yeah.
Like, I'd almost go so far as to say that is obvious now.
Yeah,
With
Aaron,
regards, sorry,
Aaron, you were
Uh,
absolutely bonging the money. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with John. I think it's going to be a sort of same thing with Orcs Mechanicum. It's going to be like another hype moment of like, okay, it's been a year or well, hopefully not that long for Talons, but 6 months down the line, whatever it is, to say, look, here's a new big release, here's a new big Talons box. I think that's going to be like one of the big like, oh, here's a new box set for the guys that are playing
Yeah, yeah,
Astartes, and I think it will be very similar to Orcs and Mechanicum, the way that they were
yeah.
treated in 2.0.
Kerry, how long do you think we'll see it before it comes out? You think the Liber Talons or Talons of the Emperor book?
They won't want to leave it too long because those players will just get grumpy and go play something else. 6 to 9 months.
Interesting. So
But
somebody said on the group that they had heard rumors of a war in the Webway box. Now, I don't know how true that is and whether it's complete tinfoil hat. But if they did a war in the Webway box, it would be an interesting introduction to Talons of the Emperor and maybe a range of demons specific to the Horus Heresy. Wouldn't that be a great way to
That'd
like
be
kick
cool.
off like your demon codex and then your demon like a Talons of the Emperor kind of Liber book as well? Like that would
because
be pretty exciting.
we know, we'll go on literally the next slide. The first campaign book is
Mm,
Istvan, which
mm.
makes sense with a box.
Yeah.
Demon Angron's coming. He's
Yes.
definitely not on Istvan. So where
No.
does he fit into their release
Yeah, this is a
plans?
good point. Really, really good point. And just to say that the legacy PDFs are coming over the next few months. So that suggests to me it's not coming out on day one. It might be a little while. So your Lokitara Storm section, if that's still in there, you'll may be able to play with that in the future. I really hope that they keep all of the PDF units. So many people have spent so much time converting up lots of units within there. It'll be such a kick in the balls if those units are gone. So fingers crossed they
I
keep
want I
those.
want my Castroferum to still be in this game.
I think a lot of
I
people
love
do
my
as
little
well.
box boy. I love him
Yeah,
so much.
I think a lot of people want lots of those units to stay. John, what's your thoughts? Do you reckon that it will be axed significantly, or do you think that they will keep the
nah, I don't
rules
see there's
as?
any sense to it, to be honest with you. I don't see
Yeah.
there's any sense in axing stuff. I mean, even if they just largely carry the rules over with the
Hmm.
addendums from last edition, it's an easy win.
Yeah.
It's from a PR perspective, it looks really, really good. It would look terrible if they axed load of like old stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's just I think it would do them absolutely no favors whatsoever other than just rile people up and getting pissed off.
Yes.
I also think what I'd like to see is the legitimizing a little bit of some of the units. So for
Hmm.
instance, some of the things like the Dark Sons of Death and the Mortis
Mm.
Poisons and stuff, I'd like to see them legitimized and placed into the main
Yeah.
Liber
Main
books, but
rulebook.
we'll
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
wait
a
and
really,
see.
really good point. Yeah, yeah, that's a yeah, but that would be really welcome. I think even if we never saw models for them, it would just be welcome,
Yeah.
as you say, to legitimize them. Cool. Okay. Well, what else did we have next? Because there was lots of information. So, alongside this new box set, we also get a new campaign book. Now, the names of these have changed slightly. This is a hardback. This was a hardback book, right, Kerry? This one, or was it a
I
softback?
think so.
Yeah. So it looked fairly meaty. I think they showed it and it looked fairly meaty. And this is, in fact, just part one. And they've called it a Journal Tactica, which is interesting as a name. So I think we can assume there'll be tons of lore in here. And I think you can assume we'll be doing a lore series all about Isfan 5. I have no doubt there'll be a whole campaign for the Isfan 5 kind of like massacre within this book, and we'll touch on it a little bit later. But I think a welcome addition, and also it's different to how we saw Siege of Cthonia. Siege of Cthonia felt like it should have come out at the same time the Age of Darkness book came, but it was delayed for whatever reason. This feels like it's super synchronized. They've learned from that kind of like error from before, and it's all just going to be released together. And I think looks slick. I think it looks really, really cool. What's your thoughts on this, John?
Love it. Yep. I think we've got a campaign book announced already.
Yeah.
It's just good.
Bloody great, isn't it? Bloody great.
It's just good. It's even if it does, like I said, even if it's a lot of this is caveated by the fact that this is what is to come. But at least we know. People will know now. Like it's just like it's just feel like a refreshing, like a tall glass of water, just like a refreshing change of direction from the studio team. So it's really, 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 really good to see. It's clear they're taking Horus Heresy very seriously.
Yeah. They've
got a nice, good selection of things, both kind of content and also model releases coming.
What's not?
How can people not be excited by this?
No,
I genuinely don't get it.
Cool. Well, let's have a look at some other bits and pieces. So it was interesting because I think you had to read the Warhammer Community article alongside the preview to get all of the information. So challenges are changing. They look to be a mini game within the game, and challenges are much more involved than just simple rolling a few dice depending on how many attacks that you have. There appears to be some kind of characteristics involved, outthinking people, outmaneuvering your opponents within those challenges as well. A mini game within the challenge, and I think the whole point of it and design of it is clearly to emphasize the fact these titanic kind of single combats between the characters that we know and love. So it'll be really cool to see that dynamic. Do you think, from a skeptic point of view, do you think the game needs more rules like this, like mini games within a game? It's like playing The Witcher 3 and then having to play a game of Gwent or something like that. What's your thoughts? Do you think this is just going to slow things down? Is it necessary? Kerry, what's your thoughts on this?
It will 100% mean that combat takes 2 minutes longer.
You're right. Okay.
But the narrative depth, that's what I guess they're going for, is it's not just Sigismund walks up to Abaddon and they smack each other with a stick and Abaddon falls over.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and then they do this. Maybe different characters can do different actions. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it actually works out.
Yeah, I certainly hope Sevatar has a high number on the outmaneuver their opponent scale. I think that's going to be pretty cool to see. Cool. Right, let's have a look at what is next. So this, I think we're going to need to spend a fair amount of time on. This is the big one because, and I think it's clear to say and easy to say that this is a real departure from 2.0. This is not 2.5, which is what some people guessed it might be, just that basically an errata in fact, just going into the main rulebook and then cleaning things up. Things have significantly changed, and it looks to be that the significant changes have come from the way that we construct our lists. So, John, why don't you talk us through this, and what's your thoughts on and feelings about this? This has been a big one, hasn't it? This one we've been.
I don't. My thoughts and feelings are very different. So my thoughts are that I think it's quite cool. I like it. I think it's nice. I think it feels quite Age of Sigmar, for people who are familiar with kind of army building in that regard, which is no bad thing necessarily. Or potentially feels a kind of a little bit more old worldy as well in terms of the way the army lists are put together. Again, no real beef. So that my thoughts are that I'm quite excited by this. My feelings are that people will abuse this, and that's my concern. Is that my concern, as I've been talking about for about the last 14 months, like I'm really looking forward to doing. I would want to do like an all Terminator army, but one that actually works. And Pride of the Legion doesn't really work in the current edition in any kind of meaningful way. Like you want veteran legionaries in Terminator armor supported by dreadnoughts. I think that's a really, really cool, like super, much like the way Lee builds any army, because he has no time spent. Super elite.
Super elite.
And finally, Lee can live in a world where he is fully supported. My thoughts are, that this could be really, really cool. My feelings are that unfortunately it could be abused. I think it would not surprise me if relatively quickly events start to comp things in the way that we did with, say, Fury of the Ancients and Dreadnoughts to sort of start off with, because it will take a while for things to settle down a little bit. There'll be some absolutely mental shit going on.
Yeah. So, Kerry, why don't you talk us through what has all kind of allies? Because in many ways it's not changing, and in some ways it is changing. So, what's your thoughts on the allied changes to this?
It depends. It says, as it says there, you're allowed allied detachments. That implies a detachment is a thing, but a detachment just I can take allies. It's whatever the hell I like, or is it you have to take an ally? You have to take specific things. Everyone is. A lot of people. The sky is falling about this. I think we haven't got the full context yet.
Yeah, 100%. And
if it does get gone, as John says, I think events will go. Yes, you can take anything you want, but you will take our own community-built force org chart effectively. And there will be things in the game that balance out and go, yes, you could take 8 heavy support slots, but you're going to really suffer in other factors of the game.
Like scoring, for example, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. And then it's clear that there are going to be some buffs to armies that basically have a broad and balanced build, right? So sure, you could take an army of jet bikes or an army of dreadnoughts, and in many ways you could actually do that in 2.0, right? It's just that you'd have to take a right of war to unlock that. So whether rights of war exist or not, it seems to me that they're less likely to exist now, considering that you can build an army essentially however you want. But it seems if you can build a broad and balanced list, you're going to be able to get more buffs. Now, we had talked before we came on air, what are those buffs going to be? And actually, Kerry's found and dug up some information around reactions. So it looks like reactions are still in, but reactions are going to cost points. So does taking a kind of a balanced force allow you to have a bigger bank of reaction points to spend? And then will that then encourage people to take those broad and balanced forces with an HQ, a few tactical squads, a couple of breacher squads, etc., etc. And then if that's the case where you get bonuses, and it's similar, I guess, in 40k to command points, I want to say, or stratagems or something. Are people actually just going to go, you know what, I'm just going to build a balanced list because I want to be able to engage with my opponent in the opposing side?
Yeah, I really hope that it rewards creativity. And gives nuance as opposed to gives a mechanic that's open to abuse.
Yeah, 100%. Fingers crossed. And then they have this strange line at the end, which is drop pods are returning to the game.
Don't understand what that means.
I don't really understand that. Maybe they mean that drop pods are going to be better than ever.
Yeah, or usable outside of just a veteran squad and a drop pod, or a full drop pod list.
Yeah, so that was an interesting sentence, that one. Cool. Let's have a look at what is next. So we'll just kind of glance over this one. So pinning and falling back seem to have been split into 4 different things now, just to make things a little bit more confused. So we've got pinned, suppressed, stunned, and routed. I kind of said, again, before we started this, I was like, well, pinned is just the same as suppressed and stunned. But Kerry, you made a point about this, didn't you? Do you want to explain kind of like what?
Yes, it might be that, what you see in mechanics in other games, pinned is like you are now, and you're pinned down, you can't move or you can't react. Suppressed means maybe, you're under suppressing fire, so you're you can't shoot back as effectively, so you take penalties to your ballistic skill. A word I think that is going to describe this, particularly with the new attributes and stuff, a word that's going to be used quite a lot is going to be like I forgot the word now. Brilliant. Like being gritty, granular.
Yeah, granular. Yes.
There's going to be a lot more separation of bits and
granularity to it. Yeah, so this is interesting, and I guess like for me, this is just your vehicle damage table, but in the form of a infantry kind of like infantry table. So interesting to see this and how it will add granularity to the game.
Complete conjecture. It could be you have to take a leadership test. If you fail it by 1, you're stunned. You fail it by 2, you're pinned.
Yeah.
We're talking about leadership tests.
Yeah. So we also saw some significant changes. Well, I say significant changes. In essence, it's the same.
Additions.
But they've added to it. So in terms of the basic stat line for well, I assume for everything now, for infantry, walkers, things like that, they have added in cool, willpower, and what's the IN? It's not
intelligence.
Intelligence
Yes,
as well.
intellect.
So this one was interesting because they gave us an example where basically they were all the same, so not massively that useful. But it may be that different consoles have different so a console might have a willpower of 10, right? Because their mind is like razor sharp and things like that. And then it looks like you're going to test those things on a 2d6 and you've got to roll equal to or lower.
In the text of the article, it talks about tech rolls. Their cool is 12 because they don't know fear because they're too bloody stupid to. So they don't lose their cool, but everything else is 4s because they're stupid.
Interesting. Okay, so so they will never fail on a cool test, but they're likely to fail on other kinds of intelligence tests and things like that. And then we got the new weapons profile as well. John, do you want to talk us through the range weapon and the melee weapon profile?
Can do, of course.
The significant changes on that.
So we have the R, which I assume is range.
Mm-hmm.
We have FP. So what's that? Fire points.
Firepower.
Number of shots, basically.
So the range strength, the AP, and then this time is damage. So we had heard a rumor that brutal was maybe going away. So perhaps this is done in a way that kind of falls into that hole. Then when we have a little look at the Saturnine Disruption Fist, so that has an initiative modifier. So obviously, which is quite a nice way of doing things, I think, to be honest with you. So all of a sudden, like your initiative is modified by, so you're going initiative 2. Number of attacks melee, I guess. Strength modifier, AP, and then damage of 3. So basically, this you're going at initiative 2. You've got a single attack, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
AP2 and damage 3.
Attacks will be the attack profile of model using, I guess.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. So the damage is interesting and works slightly differently. So we'll have a bit of a reference for rules later on. But damage is essentially you take 1 save, and then that if you fail that, the D represents the amount of wounds that you will take. So that's slightly different than brutal that we had in this edition, which is that if one brutal kind of hits, you have to then take 3 saves on that. Which is again why it made it so brutal. So it's interesting to see this. Do you think with a damage like this, do you think instant death is going to go as a rule?
I kind of hope it does.
I think it will.
Yeah. Okay. And then, do you think things like Primarchs and Eternal Warriors, they're only ever going to suffer 1 damage?
Potentially, that would make sense.
They could have like a 40k. One of the things I'm not worried about, I'm thinking about is if there will be damage reduction abilities, a bit like in 40k, where it's like you reduce incoming damage by 1, and stuff like that. I wonder if that'll be a thing.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so a Primarch might reduce it by it can't ever be more than 1, for example. Or whatever. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so that's an interesting change. But again, this is for me quite a significant overhaul from what we've seen in the previous 2 editions. Right. Cool. Right. Let's have a lock. What is next? So this is we're going to go through, and this is where Kerry has really worked hard to kind of try and pick out as much information as possible for you guys. So there were lots of photos flying around. Kerry has used his cogitators to be able to kind of like unpick that information. So Kerry, why don't you talk us through some of the stat lines that you kind of like worked out from this blurry photo, and we'll see how close me and Lee were with our Saturnine kind of like predictions with this one.
So it's worth noting this is the quick reference book that is in the box. So it's not the lever. So assuming they're the same, but because these don't have the cool and intelligence, the rest of them here by the looks of it.
Okay. So that must be some kind. So the intelligence and cool and stuff must be some kind of advanced rule
like
set.
a quick, straight out of the box, quick rule set is here, and then
Yeah.
you go to the lever and you get full set. So,
Okay, interesting.
from what I can read, blurry pixel to blurry pixel, Saturn Terminator is weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, same as the Legion Terminator. Just because they're in Terminator armor doesn't mean they're good.
No.
Strength 5.
Movement, and only movement 5, right?
Move 5, slow boys.
Yeah.
So, strength 5, move 5. Can't read anything past that, really.
Yeah, and if they're strength 5, it means that their Saturnine Terminator weapon is going to be strength 7 rather than strength 8.
But it does 3 damage, Rob.
Oh, it does 3 damage, of course, John.
Don't worry about it.
Of course. Okay, cool.
So, below that, you've got a Saturnine Praetor, same, move 5, toughness. I think I read toughness 6.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
I
6
read
wounds.
6 as well. Yeah.
So,
6 wounds. Woo. That's only 2 Saturnine power fists to take that guy down, though.
Yeah.
weapon skill 6. Good luck hitting him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Line below that is probably the Centurion, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, 2 wounds. What they are now, basically.
Yeah, it looks pretty standard to me. Yeah.
And the 4th line, I don't know what unit it is because that's out of shot. But they're armed with disintegrators or heavy disintegrators. They're ballistic skill 5 and they got 2 wounds.
That'd be the veterans, I reckon.
That's veterans.
Yeah.
It'd be weird. A veteran unit that's all got special weapons.
With ballistic skill 5. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty fruity, isn't it? That one. And then I suppose if this is a quick rule set, there might be no need for sergeants because the veteran sergeant doesn't look to be including it in this. So maybe
there's a line there.
Maybe we'll have a Saturnine sergeant, but it will be in the advanced rules, right?
Because there's a line there on that 4th one with disintegrated weapons. It says cut off
the
plasma pistol and power weapon.
So that might be the sergeant for the
gets folded in.
As we all just subtly just our heads at the same time.
Lots of head twisting.
Okay, well, good job unpicking that, but it's not the only thing that you've unpicked for us, is it? Because you've very eagerly spied some kind of table. Now, the table, it looks like it's here to stay, but these are the quick reference rules, right? This isn't from the proper main rule book. This is from the quick rule set. But yeah, talk us through what you found within this page.
Definitely says target toughness across the top. So presumably it's a strength versus toughness to wound table.
Yep.
It's when you match, it's exactly the same as it is now. When you match, you're on 4s, above it, you're on 5, below, you're on 3s. There was a lot of concern that, we don't know what vehicles are. They might go to toughness values. People whinging about that, going, I don't like the idea of a bolter could hurt a tank. Well, according to this, a bolter still can't hurt toughness 8.
Tough, technically, an Iron Warrior's bolter can hurt a tank.
if we'll see. Okay,
it's also interesting. This table matches at this again. Quick reference table maxes out at toughness 8. Doesn't give you toughness 9 and 10.
Oh,
which
right.
To me implies the Saturnine Dread is toughness 8.
God damn it, Kerry! God damn it, that's good. That is good information that you found there. That's a really, really, really good point. And the Leviathan at this moment in time is T8, right? It's toughness 8, yeah. Okay, so whether we'll see the Leviathan and the Saturnine Dread the same, or whether the Leviathan will become a little bit weaker.
Please don't hurt my brave boy.
Yeah.
Oh, Kerry, this is good shit, mate. This is good granular shit. I love this. Right, what else have you found for us? So this is the important bit.
This one you're not going to be able to read. By snipping it from YouTube, it's lost all its readability. But you squint hard enough and you can read it. Basically says, armor saves, you roll a dice. If your result on your dice is below your characteristic armor save, you suffer a number of wounds equal to the damage profile of a weapon.
Yeah, so that's how it's different to brutal, isn't it? Yeah. So it's one save, and then if you fail that, that's how much damage is essentially caused. Now we don't know anything about like mitigations or feel no pains yet, as of yet. So how that will be, but it's basically the opposite of brutal, and we don't know whether or not brutal is still in the game. That's the other important thing to know, isn't it? Yeah, cool. Any thoughts on this one, guys? Or kind of all happy with that? Cool.
No, all happy.
Great. Let's have a look. What else you got for us, Kerry?
Okay, then we're out of blurry vision now into real vision. So first of all, and we talked about this in our pre-chat, I really like that they've got this bold bit in each rule that's basically the summary of what that rule is. And then you go into the detail.
Thank the maker.
They've learned.
Yes.
So there's a few things to pick out of this. The first one, the interdiction cadre, whatever they're called, the wording there says it may be taken to fill a prime force org slot.
Yeah, so the idea that we don't have a force org is not quite right, is it? It's that the force org as we understand it has changed, in the sense that what your army fits into is still the force org, but it's not 3HQ, or it might not be 3HQ, 6 troops, 4 elites and things like that. It's an empty boxes that you can fill at your leisure. They kind of suggest
think AOS, think like characters like core, special and rare. Potentially,
it was giving me the old world vibes where you've got 25% HQ, whatever it is. I wonder if maybe that's where we're going.
Interesting, cool. What else did you find?
And you've got, this appears to be some sort of new unique reaction, which is unique to this unit. So you've got this concealed ambush advanced reaction, which basically is when you move, I pull a unit out of reserve and put them within 6 inches and go surprise. What's interesting is that new reaction and a new type, new advanced reaction, but it also mentions that you place the first model of the unit that's turning up, and then all other models have to be within 6 inches of the first model, which means if that's across all like deep striking, you can't conga line anymore.
Yes, thank Christ.
That's interesting. And I just noticed at the top it says something, the controlling player with prime advantage. So prime advantage looks to be a phrase that's going to come up, whether that means just first turn, an alternative, it's kind of like a strategic advantage, but just with a different name. But yeah, some really good insights there for us, Kerry. And it looks like they've sorted the conga lining kind of like scenario out for us in this one as well. So yeah, that's nice. Cool. Let's have a look what's next. So this is a really big one, right? Because this gives us a lot of clues about where the state of reactions and what reactions might look like in the next edition.
Yeah, so basically this war gear or character's got a special rule, nice summary. Control the player to reduce the reaction point cost of reaction ones per turn down to a minimum of 0. Big thing in second edition even was all reactions cost the same. Which made balancing them really bloody hard, because some reactions are just patently better than others. If now you can say, well, this reaction is not great, but it's only worth 1 point. But that reaction's amazing, but it uses 3 points.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really good, really good point, actually. Yeah, so there's going to be some sort of cost, and this is tying back to our conversation around the force organization, which is that will more balanced lists provide you with more reaction points to play with, which I think is going to be, it seems to me that might be the obvious way to kind of like link it together. Yeah, cool. Okay, anything else on this one, Kerry?
No, that's all I got there.
I think something that's interesting in the top right, it says the Augur command squad and control squad can be represented by using crew models from the Rapier battery.
Yeah, that's interesting, that, isn't it?
So are they like saying, oh yeah, you can totally use X models as Y?
Yeah.
It seems to be maybe they're not going to be as restrictive as they have been with 40k, where it's like, this is the box that does this and that's it. So that'd be good.
That's actually that's a really good point, right? Actually, like you could be like, yeah, sure, you got this kit. You might not be using the quad guns in it, but you can use these if you want an auger command squad or whatever. I don't know, right? So yeah, that's really, really exciting, really cool, and a little taste of things to come. Like what else? What other things are they going to do that with? Like what other units are they going to do that with? Cool. Right. What have you got next for us? So we had, all of us had totally missed this in this final sentence, but talk us through the explosive assets trade.
A lot of people miss this because I think this is one of the assets you buy in the campaign book.
Right.
And what's in the text, the actual how you do it is fairly generic. But the bottom of it is interesting because everyone is hit by a damage 1, breaching 5 up, and shred 5 up. Yes. Now, shred doesn't have a dice score because you just re-roll everything.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is new.
Shred looks like it's changing some way, and whether that means breaching's changing and shred's changing is shred the new rending. For example. But but why have breaching and rending together? So it's interesting. So something is clearly going to happen with shred. Shred has changed slightly. So yeah, so pretty exciting.
I wonder if shred is going to be a little bit like ballistic skill, like 7 and 8, where you obviously, when you make a reroll, it has to be a 6 or a 5. And then if you shred 5+, when you make a reroll on a failed wound, it has to be 5+. That's the way that I'm reading it.
Otherwise, like, it's not just like, okay, that's really interesting. Okay, that seems to make a lot of sense. Okay, it's good that it's good, Aaron. It's good you're here to give us context within other games that none of us have ideas about. So that's good.
My Blood Bowl knowledge, however, is no use here.
Nice one. Okay, Kerry, what have we got? What have we got next, please?
So this is a blurry as hell picture from the top of the screen. So you can see there's not a whirlwind at the bottom half. But what's interesting here is that is 3 upgrades, which are listed as 5 points each.
Yeah.
So there is some sort of
what it says.
No, know what they are, but you can put upgrades on units for a fixed cost.
Yeah, so things are not set in stone, I think is the point.
That was a huge concern, was that we were going to be losing the ability to customize.
Right, yeah, so it looks like you can customize it. This looks to me like it's like searchlights or something like that, right?
Yeah, probably.
Like,
smoke launchers.
Blade.
Yeah, exactly. Cool, okay, that's really, really good to hear. What have you got next for us?
So another piece of war gear, which what it does is makes Deep Strike more reliable. But what's reading between the lines, what's interesting here is reserve rolls made for a unit containing Stratovox are successful, and if you're putting one in, you only have to roll. Basically, it sounds like you have to roll per unit coming in from reserve, not one roll fits all.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be, I mean, in many ways that might be bad for people because you've got an army potentially coming in piecemeal, but in other ways people like that because it's just not a single roll that determines the result of your entire game. What I've got to emphasize again, like this sentence in bold at the top before like the main information is just so useful because it's just a signpost telling you what you're about to read and like just summing it up really nicely. Like that is so valuable. And I think like I don't mind longer rules if they just have a quick summary and signpost just explaining like what I'm about to read. Yeah, really, really, really good. Cool. Right, what else have you got? Is that so this is interesting, right? So these are just basically lots of rules and it looks like they're from the campaign, right?
So these are the campaign assets, various things you can take, you can take minefields, you can take a computer that makes people stupid near it, that sort of thing. So but pulling a few bits out of here, one of them talks about the command subtype. So how like giving orders.
How's that going to work?
It also mentions the ranged weapons with the heavy type and the ordnance type. So ordnance is still a thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
So
so that's interesting. So so the rules that we know and love, some of them are still within this, right? And it looks to be like 3 inches within an objective is still an important kind of like characteristic to be able to score or whatever.
It looks like on the gravitation stairs it mentions that grav seems to be a pinning thing now because it says that the gravitation snare marker gives it the pin tactical status. So instead of difficult terrain, it might pin people now.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay, look forward to seeing what happens with that. Cool. Right, what else have you got for us? Yeah, okay, awesome. Well, Kerry, you've done an absolutely amazing job because we gave you basically a near impossible job, which was to read things that were incredibly blurry, but a lot to kind of like cogitate on that one. And then we've got a few thoughts that maybe kind of we can just cast our net to the guys here about kind of like just their summary of their thoughts. But we've got a few people from our Patreon. Lee put out a post a couple of days ago just asking people's thoughts, what they thought of it. I know that Lee is pretty buzzing for this one. So just John, why don't you just read us through a couple of these?
I will. I'm going to start with the one in the middle. Cautiously optimistic for the rules. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think based on what I've seen, I would go along with that. Super hyped for the models. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. Less so the egg, Terminators and Dread. Did I write this? Finally can get a Fellblade. I've already got one. And those breaches. And Might 2 Assault Marines. And the spider turrets. And also, I feel like I did write that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that does sound very, very you, doesn't it? Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say, that one. Yeah.
Okay, let's take one with a slightly more negative stance. Models look great, but I'm worried about the rules. We only needed a big FAQ for 2.0. The new stats seem like it's going to get a lot more complicated. Having damage on weapons is going to make this edition even more killy than 2.0. Is killy a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily.
Not necessarily. I think shooty is the one that I'd like to try and avoid. I'd like to be a better, more balanced game.
Bit more balanced, absolutely. Yep. I won't be rushing out to buy the new rules. I'll wait and see first. Might be sticking with 2.0 for a while. Fine, that's absolutely your prerogative. I don't. I value all opinions.
Games Workshop is not going to come to your house and force you to burn your books.
Precisely, exactly that. If you're happy playing 2.0, you crack on. It's not a bad game at all. What else have we got here? Based on what we saw is changing, I'm leaning towards staying with second edition. There's a theme here. Second edition is a great rule set that just needs some minor fixes. How do we know we haven't got them? This is the thing. You see, we don't know we haven't got these minor fixes yet. This is just for like adding complexity to gameplay while reducing list building from the sounds of it. No thanks. New models are awesome though.
Yeah, interesting. I think we've kind of blasted apart that idea that there's no force organization, these sorts of things. I think we've kind of like discussed that one, and in depth actually. I think that actually having the ability to take whatever you want is going to come with its own challenges to be able to help you kind of do things within the game. So I think
I agree.
Just hold fire on that one. I think it would be interesting. Sorry, John, I interrupted there.
No, it's absolutely fine. Okay, I'm quite excited for a lot of the new rules they covered. The additional leadership stats, more thematic challenges, and the initiative modification. However, the way they vaguely worded information around other things such as more flexible list construction has me a bit worried that we're going to lose force org charts and go towards the 40k army building of take anything you want to a maximum of 3 of the same.
Interesting. Is that how it works at the moment, Aaron? Is it you just basically like can take what you want?
Yeah, at the minute there's no you take a HQ unit and then everything from that follows on with a maximum of rule of 3, and that's pretty much it. So you don't have to take tactical marines or intercessors, for example, or space marines. You don't have to do that at all.
Interesting. Okay.
And then the last opinion is overall happy with what was shown. Very optimistic on the inclusion of a damage statistic. I think that's probably something that we're talking about as well. We'll do away with brutal, which I always felt was a crutch to deal with dreadnoughts and terminators. Ideally opens up more weapon viability.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually hadn't considered that. I think that's a really valid point. I'd be glad to see the back of brutal, but basically
yeah, me too. I think brutal
right?
can go away, to be honest with you.
But it's just been replaced by damage, hasn't it? I mean, that's essentially it, right?
I don't hate it.
Can you imagine if a las cannon is damage 1 because it's super effective, just bores through someone? But a missile launcher is damage 2. You go, hang on. I've got to make a choice now.
That's a really good point, actually. And whether they balance those heavy weapons by doing something like that, I think would be really interesting. That's actually maybe that is great way to just balance, like make las cannons AP3 and damage 1. They're good at glancing vehicles, but interesting. Okay, cool. So let's just go to, I think that's closing thoughts. So I think just to sum up for me, like there's loads of information in this one. It's been a long old show, but I think that it's been great to kind of talk about the models and even better to talk about the rules. Kerry, you've done a great job with that. I'm massively excited, and I think this is the best preview we've had, and it felt like being at an online Horus Heresy weekender. It honestly felt like going back to the weekenders, but I was just sat down watching it in the comfort of a hotel room. John, what's your thoughts? How do you feel about like the preview overall?
10 out of 10, mate. 10 out of 10.
Loved it.
Swing and a hit. It's a home run, a slam dunk, etc., etc. Yeah, I think it's my perhaps this is I don't know, a summation of what's gone previously, but our expectations were quite low. But every single one of them was exceeded. I think, hats off. It's nice considering the last time they gave us any kind of real preview was the fucking roadmap. That me and Kerry derided. Then this is like a different organisation, to be honest.
Isn't it just actually? Yeah, that's a great point. Aaron, what's your thoughts on the preview and how do you feel about it?
I'm really excited. My room is going to be full of Fellblades in 6 months' time, so I'm just going to have a Fellblade army.
Can I take 6 Fellblades in a list?
Yeah,
yes, you
I
can.
was a bit like some of the commentators. I was a bit like I wouldn't mind a 2.5. That's kind of where my headspace was, but actually. Some of this, my favorite thing is that we seem to be Rogue Trader now. That is really hilarious to me. And initiative modifiers, I love. I don't like the 40k all or nothing. I fight first, you fight last. I do prefer initiative, and actually, I don't know, like a Thunder Hammer being -3 and a Fist being -2 actually gives you that choice. And I think it's the level of granularity that is good for the game without being all or nothing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I would say about 2.0, which is that there were just such obvious choices within that game, and I just think of Thunderhammers as being the obvious one, where basically like every character had a Thunderhammer, and I put myself in that bracket as well of doing that exact same thing. But if they can sort it out by kind of like changing initiative and doing like changing damage and things like that on weapons, and then making it not such an obvious choice, I think that's only going to help the game be in a healthier state. Kerry, your kind of closing thoughts on the preview?
I am hyped. I'm eagerly anticipating a release date.
Yes.
Making predictions. It's going to be early July.
Yeah.
But,
and then we're kind of organising a lots of content around those dates, aren't we, at the moment? Yeah.
It's interesting. Absolutely. Someone that posted on it was actually the SN chat at some point, about an hour before we went to start recording today. These models around the wild, someone's got them and using them in the display at the Dallas Open right now.
Yes,
people are actually seeing them in person.
Yeah, they look, and the Dread looks absolutely humongous. Like next to that Spartan, it looks like an absolute whopper. So make sure to check those images out on the Heresy Hammer WhatsApp community. But with that, though, we will bid you adieu. Thank you ever so much for the team for coming on a Sunday night. I'm going to put this up on Monday morning. It's going to be a bank holiday, so hopefully you're getting lots of hobby time in, spending it with the family, and getting to watch Heresy Hammer as well. We are really excited about the new edition. As you can tell, we hope you're excited about it. Let us know what you think about the preview in the comments down below. Let us know what you think these new rules could be. What is Shred going to look like? Like, is Aaron right? Is it just going to be that if you do the re-roll, then actually you can only wound on a 5-up? Or is it going to be something different? Is breaching changing? Are you glad to see heavy and ordnance still in the game? What do you think force organisation charts are going to actually look like now? Let us know in the comments below. As ever, guys, thank you ever so much for the support, and we shall see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Be good. Bye-bye.
Bye.